Anyway, thank you for having me.
I
How are
love
you
it.
doing? And where?
I'm good. How are
I'm
you?
good. Where on the planet are you calling from?
I'm actually in Sun Valley, Idaho.
Aha! I actually spent 2 days in Sun Valley at the Sun Valley Film Festival, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, playing. Actually, I was doing music out there. It's a lovely place.
Oh, well, we probably crossed paths. I know I've seen your power couple, better half's other half, Drew Barrymore out here.
Pilar Valdez, Chef Pilar,
Yes.
who just got home. She just texted me, "I'll tiptoe," and yes, she's lovely, and she's had quite a year. Um, so yeah, it's been a crazy year for Pilar. So for those listening who don't know, my wife wrote a cookbook with Drew Barrymore and is a regular chef contributor on the Drew Barrymore show, and yeah, has suddenly stepped into the public purview and has been doing a lovely job of it. So it's been quite exciting.
Indeed. I would have given you a bit of an introduction. Why don't I
Oh
do
sure,
that
yeah,
now, Gabriel?
we can go back. I'll step back off stage.
Yeah, pretend we
Okay.
never met. Hi, everyone. This is Lynn Mason Patnosh with ConciergeQ Media, where travel meets entertainment. And today we're going to be speaking with Gabriel Judet-Weinshel. He is a musician, filmmaker, and all around very interesting guy who loves Brooklyn. Did a fabulous travel questionnaire for us, covering Brooklyn. And, this was actually a first he wrote a poem,
Yes. During the
which you're going to read for
Yes,
us,
yes, and
right?
that's speaking of first Twitter Live. I don't know since I don't know maybe high school. My gosh, it's been a long time since I've read a poem in public, so please forgive me.
No
But during the
pressure.
pandemic, I as a in my teens and 20s wrote a lot, and I still do. I always think of the quote, "Poets are band leaders who have failed." Which I had on
Oh,
the liner notes to my first record, meaning that there's a real intersection between songwriting and poetry writing and story writing and storytelling. And so at a certain point, I read a lot of poetry in high school, as one often does, and was always dabbling in it. And at certain points, entertained the thought of being a poet. And I think mostly it was I just didn't know what I would do with all that money, So it was sort of like it was more of a financial decision. I just felt like I'm really for, economic distribution and equality, and I felt I didn't want to increase the wealth gap. So I went into being a musician.
yeah.
But anyway, so yes, I have this poem during the pandemic, for whatever reason, as we were all dislodged in various ways, some much more than others. I found myself returning to writing poems. I was working on a movie script and song lyrics, but a lot of what I was doing came out as poems. Just kind of, it was a period of 3 weeks in the initial surge of infections in New York. We were right in the middle of it. Had an acquaintance who was working in the emergency room, and we had friends who got sick. Luckily, we didn't get sick, but if you can imagine, hearing ambulances going by our door, stopping outside of our window, we saw people being brought into ambulances outside of our window. So we really felt in the midst of it. And one of the things that was really moving was during the first couple of months of the pandemic, hearing and participating in the 7 p.m. cheering of all of the essential workers. So that was the rescue workers, but also the medical workers, but also just folks who were essential and suddenly became essential. And I think, sadly, it's easy to forget how essential they are. As Amazon keeps delivering and we go about our lives. But those frontline workers, everybody would get out and cheer on the rooftops for them. And there was such a moving kind of period of weeks where we would all take part in that. And so this poem came out of that. That was a long wind up for it. I think the poem's a lot shorter. Should I read it now?
Yes. So the question that you answered from our questionnaire, and everyone's done this questionnaire just so folks know, from concierges all around the world and other hotel operators to musicians like Andy Grammer
Mm.
and Joyce Diodanta, the famed opera
Yes.
singer, actors like Richard Dreyfuss and Amy Schumer.
Oh yeah, and I
So
saw
now
Jamie
we're
Lee
adding
Curtis was on as well. Yeah.
yes, Jamie Lee, another Sun
Yes.
Valley
Yes.
person. So now we're adding Gabriel to the list, and everyone gets the same 10 questions. Gabriel did it for Brooklyn, and this is his answer to number 6. What is your favorite sound or noise in Brooklyn?
And I think I just maybe explained what I just explained about the uh, the 7 p.m.
But
cheering, and
yes,
and then and then I shared this poem. So here it is. South Brooklyn, 7 p.m. All along Crown Heights rooftops, people are shouting, singing, holding beer, wine, cocktails, hot dogs, maybe. 10 cheers for the doctors, the superheroes, delivery people, grocers, male women. They were the gods, the queens of this earthly imperium all along. The celebrities have left us for their hideaways ensconced in the Hamptons, Malibu, or their ranch, God knows where, but it's 7 p.m. here, and folks, the Hasidics, the West Indians, the Prospect Heights Park Slope moms, millennials packed in foursomes, the old ladies locked in their shoes. Man, we're out on the rooftops, and I've never felt more like a New Yorker, singing the world cracked in a million pieces, but we're an archipelago of hope. Rescue boats drowned, yes, but still alive, and the sky so big above. Of course, the oceans are still rising. We're hovering over the jaws of a greater death, panoptic species extinction, and the blue sphere we share muzzled, suffocating. But at 7 p.m., we are free. We survived another day, and a new world feels possible.
wow. So
Oh, thank
beautiful.
you.
So beautiful.
Yeah, it was quite a moment to be here in the middle of all of it.
I bet. We howled here.
Oh, nice, nice. Howling is good.
Mhm.
Oh, good.
It was very
Yeah,
cathartic, I
yeah,
think.
for sure. And echoing through Sun Valley, I can imagine that. Yeah.
Right. And I know your line celebrities have left us for their hideaways or their ranch, God knows
Right.
where. Here, Gabriel. They came here. The private planes did not
I
stop.
I didn't mean Jamie Lee. We're a fan. We're a fan. Sorry, I'm sure Jamie Lee, you would have been here in Brooklyn had you been. Just it was travel. It was travel plans got disrupted. She would have been on the front lines
Yes.
as well.
Well, Jamie Lee, she's a local. Her family lives
Fair
here
enough. So there was
basically. So
no.
she's
Yeah,
she's allowed.
she didn't scarp her off. That was she
Yeah.
was. Yeah,
Jamie Lee and Christopher
she was
anytime.
taking care of family. I got it.
Indeed. So how are things there for you right now?
they're certainly not the nadir that they were in March of 2020. Obviously, Omicron is sort of surging everywhere. I think we are now on the decline, so that's good. And obviously, Omicron is just a totally different story. A lot of New York is vaccinated, so it's more like everyone has this cold. I think that if you're not vaccinated, it can still be lethal. So everyone get vaccinated. And I think the lingering fear is still, even if you have a very mild infection, what long-term COVID could be like, even with that, because it's such a mercurial, weird disease. And so it's still weird here. It's still not normal. It's like, we're all kind of getting by. I'm back to, so I sort of have this dual life as a musician and also a filmmaker, and I'm back to doing shoots. I just did a shoot at the Javits Center of all places. Perfect place to go when there are 50,000 new infections per day. But I had a N95, and so far so good. And so we're all getting by. But it's I think we're all far from normal, whatever normal ever meant, right? Normal.
Right.
I think one thing about the pandemic is you start to realize there was never quite a normal, and normal is very different for a lot of different people.
We spend a lot of time at the Java Center,
Oh
so
yeah,
we're familiar.
yeah, yeah.
What were you shooting?
Oh gosh, it was a just a corporate video. It was a pay the bills kind of thing. Lovely client, and it was for a technology company. So It was not Google,
Excellent.
but much smaller, Jersey-based, Jersey headquartered.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's pretend it was
Yes.
Google. We'll get you some inquiries going
There we
on
go.
right
There we
now.
go. Yes.
So I loved your questionnaire, not only from the poem, but you started off with the first question, which is, what is your favorite word to describe Brooklyn? Do you remember what you wrote?
I think I may have said palimpsest.
Oh, that was what word best
Oh,
reflects the people
was
of
it something
Brooklyn.
like
But that
polulation? I feel like I went for another.
you said
Oh,
pungent.
pungent. Okay, it was some kind of 50 cent. I'm out of money now. It was like some kind of 50 cent p word. It's been a moment. Although polulating works
You
as well, right? Pungent, yes.
exactly.
And I think I was also writing in the summer, which Brooklyn certainly is during the summer. So it
Mhm.
may be a seasonal answer.
You like your P's
Yes.
because the next question, what word best reflects the people of Brooklyn, is indeed palimpsest.
Palimpsest. There we go. Which is one of my
Yes.
favorite words. Just the kind of the layering of things and the. I think I always think about palimpsest in terms of memory. The way memory. You lose bits, but then things get added on top of it, and then a new thing is formed. And so yeah, I think Brooklyn is this stew of different cultures and areas that are being, for better or for worse, gentrified, and overlapping narratives and histories, and one neighborhood swallowing another, and things colliding. And I think that's what I was trying to get at with that word.
So for number 9, which is what song or type of music best reflects Brooklyn? I love your answer here about your friend Daniel.
Daniel, yes, Daniel Jodeci. He's a jazz musician, a great jazz drummer, and I think I started speaking about him and his friend Kenny Wollison, who has this sort of marching band. And I don't know if this still goes on, but it was a few years back. Obviously, everything has been a bit uprooted because of the pandemic. But Kenny would lead this marching band of pretty much anyone who wanted to join. So professional musicians, but also people with noisemakers. And it was this sort of celebration of just cacophony, and everyone would get together and he would conduct it. But obviously there was no written music, there was no charts, but it was still this just joyous celebration of sound and music. So I think that's what I was talking about. And then Daniel, who actually just worked with, he also will jump into the film world and do some crewing on shoots. Daniel just came along on this corporate shoot. He plays in a band called the Dizzy Ventilators, so I should give them a shout out. They're great. They play at New Blue sometimes, which is a sort of jazz and experimental club in the Village. So yeah, there's still a lot of good music happening. It's starting to return at last.
And I just love your sound.
Oh, thank you so much.
It you can hear so many different genres coming together. How would you describe it?
Oh gosh, I I mean I think it's such a hard question to answer, but it's singer songwriter, Americana, all those words. But I think really influenced by Paul Simon and Leonard Cohen, and that was the keyboard there. And a lot of the singer songwriters and rock musicians from my parents' generation, essentially. But I also am a big Jeff Tweedy fan, and then I
Mhm.
studied a lot of jazz. So I think some of that, in terms of some of the harmonic structures and sort of some of the ways I play piano, work themselves into my music as well. Um, yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but I would say sort of lyric focused rock music, and sometimes folk rock music. This record that we just put out, Radio Ocean, is much more rock and even kind of classic rock sounding, I think, than the first record.
Mhm. I hear some Zydeco in there too.
Oh wow, that's probably one step removed. That's probably just growing up listening to Graceland. So I can't claim
Yes.
to have
Yes.
any deep knowledge of that idiom, but I mean I love what I hear of it. But yeah, that's there is accordion. That's Scott Healy. So Scott Healy is an amazing musician, session player, but who also produced the record. He's a composer, arranger, and producer. And Scott plays a lot on the record, but also I was really privileged to have access to his Rolodex of incredible musicians. So we have some great session players on the record. We have Lee Sklar, who's this legendary bass player, and Sean Pelton, drummer, who's played with just about everyone. And the list sort of goes on in terms of the people we were able to get to play on this record.
Well, you can definitely hear it, Gabriel. The sound is so rich.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and the record, I should also say, was mixed by my friend Mike Flannery, who just did an incredible job of sort of wrangling all of these different tracks. The record we did really over the course of a decade, because I kind of got caught up in a bunch of other projects. I was working on a film and some soundtracks, and it got put on the back burner. And also just it was a sort of like quite a huge sprawling record. So Mike, the mixer, got all of these tracks and was really trying. It was quite a task to keep everything in balance. So I think that's also a testament to him, both him and Scott, that the record sounds the way it does.
Beautifully done.
Thank you.
Beautifully done. So I would assume that you also shoot your music videos, put on both hats at the same time.
I do, yeah. So I did 2 videos for this record, for You, the first track, and for Sweet Loretta, which is another single. And yeah, the first one is a dance video that actually features my wife Pilar Valdez doing a dance cameo, and I'm also dancing in it. And then the second is kind of a very fast cutting collage like, various textured video, and it features Kate Tucker, who's a great pop and singer songwriter artist of her own right. And she sings with me. It's a duet, and she also appears in the video.
I love the video, and I was going to comment. You got some dance moves there.
Thank you.
Any musical theater in the
I
background?
mean, way back, only in high school. Yeah, I studied a little bit of dance in Paris, but I can't claim that any of that helped. I think it's mostly a lack of self-consciousness that can kind of come out in certain circumstances.
Just a little bit in Paris.
Yes. It's
I was.
Oh no, dancing is mostly a way to embarrass my wife in public situations at this point.
Oh my goodness. Well, I was scrolling your Instagram account, and I saw the post, I guess, when Stephen Sondheim passed.
Oh, so yeah.
You have that. You love him as a composer.
Yes.
Artist.
I mean, Sondheim, I mean, how can one not? As the more, I'm only coming to know his oeuvre. I can't say that word without it sounding pretentious, but it's a good word. Sort of posthumously. I knew a little bit of him, and obviously, grew up listening to West Side Story, the lyrics, but I think only recently have I really dug a little deeper. And I happened to actually, when he passed, be helping out a friend who's doing a documentary about Company, the revival of Company. So the night he passed, I actually got a phone call, and they sent me up to the theater that night to shoot, where the director gave a very moving speech. Just they needed a cameraman up there, camera person, and I went up there and was sort of in the middle of that, and got to stay to see the show afterwards. So it was really moving. But
oh my goodness, I saw some of those clips.
Oh yeah, they probably circulated. Yeah, they were, because they gave that speech, and you just
Patty.
Yes, exactly. You felt like you were sort of at the epicenter of it. But yeah, and then listening to him in interviews, he seems like he was such a mensch, and just lived such an amazing life, and some of those songs just tear me to pieces, really. And then just they're both lyrically so complex and so smart, but then harmonically just so both daunting harmonically and peculiar, and some of the intervallic leaps, in terms of where the melodies go. They're so tricky, and yet they do stick in your head, So yeah, he was quite a genius, and I was really sad. It feels like there's been a lot of really real losses in terms of the arts and letters, from bell hooks to Sondheim, to Joan Didion lately. It's been a shame.
Indeed. And we lost two folks today too, Meatloaf and Louis Anderson as
Oh
well, although
gosh,
not
yeah.
in literary frame. But boy, Louis Anderson was such a talent.
Yeah, yeah. It's we really need to put a stop to this. It's a shame.
Yes, it's going a little too
Yes,
far.
yes.
But and talking about this world, talk a bit about your film work before we have you
Oh,
sing.
sure. So I was one of those kids, sort of in the early '80s, running around with a video camera and always kind of concurrently working on film and music at the same time. For me, they really felt like twin expressions of the same impulse. Really, like that. I just, one was visual and one was auditory, and often they were intersecting. But I just was always trying to tell stories one way or the other, and have made films my whole life. I made a featurette, which was, I guess, by kind of Academy standards, a feature film. Was a 46-minute film about a circus, a kind of magic realist uh, film. There was only 6 lines of dialogue, and we got a bunch of friends and performers to kind of create this circus up in the Hudson Valley. So I shot that. Yeah, that was
Wow.
called The Broken Wings of Elijah Footfalls. And then I just I made this feature film a couple years back called Seven Splinters in Time, that has Austin Pendleton, Eduardo Ballerini, Emmanuel Shrieky, Greg Bennick in it. So a really lovely cast,
Wow.
and that's a very kind of cult. Like, I'm hoping it becomes a cult film. I think we just need to get more people to know about it. There's not even quite enough people know about it as a cult film. It's about a detective who goes to the scene of a crime and realizes the body is his own, and that there are various doppelgangers of him inhabiting time space, and one of which is threatening. And it's sort of, besides being a time travel film, it's also just kind of a film about memory and identity, and how selves can be fragmented in a way. And
Wow. Well, this is right up my alley, Gabriel. Where can folks watch
it's
this?
it's on all the digital places. At this point, I think it may not be on Netflix, but it's on Paramount Plus. It's on Amazon Prime. It's on iTunes. It's on Google Play. It's on Hulu, and all. I think if you just Google it, Google will tell you where to watch it. It's on YouTube, I think. Um, if all else fails, I can send you a link. But for those listening,
Reach out to
yeah,
Gabriel.
for those listening, just Google Seven Splinters in Time, and yes, it's quite a strange ride. Especially, I would warn folks, the first half hour is particularly disorienting, but hang in there, and it actually does make sense at the end.
Well, wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for this
yeah,
interview.
of course.
Everyone, I put Gabriel's fabulous Brooklyn travel questionnaire up on my Twitter page if you want to take a look. How can people reach you if they need to? What is your web
Sure.
handle?
So on Twitter, since we're on Twitter, it's Wax Max. So it's WAX_MAX. And then on Instagram, it's my music project name, Unpinnable Butterflies. So UNPINNABLE Butterflies. Um, or you can Google my easy to pronounce and spell full name, I suppose, Gabriel Judet-Weinshel, JUDTWEINSHEL. Or there's two websites. So waxwingfilms.com is for the film, and then unpinnablebutterflies.net is for the music. And the record's called Radio Ocean. I guess you can find me that way too.
Radio Ocean. I know we're going to hear something from Radio
Yes,
Ocean now.
yes. Okay, so here we go.
Set us up.
I'm gonna put the let's see if this works. I'm gonna put the phone near this speaker, and I'm gonna sing a tune.
Gabriel, you hit the mics off. Gabriel? Oh no, I have a feeling he's playing and doesn't know he hit his mic.
How about now?
Oh, you're back.
No. Yeah.
Okay, so you hit
I,
your mic.
yeah, I
You
got
got
it.
it
I
now?
promise you, I'm a professional. I just
I was running through my brain thinking, how am I going to reach
gosh.
him
Yeah, I
if
think
everything is
okay.
off while his
If I do this,
Microsoft.
tell me if you can hear this now. I'm going to just.
Okay.
Can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
You can still hear me now? Okay, great.
Sounds
All right, here
good.
we go. So hold on. All right. And Lynn, you can still hear that? All right, here
Yes,
we go.
sir.
This is a
Sounds
tune
great.
called Everybody. Everybody got a dream they stashed away. Everybody got some letters from back in the day. Everybody got a meter on their head. Everybody counting pennies till they're dead. Everybody got a fear they're not enough. Everybody got a closet for the darkest stuff. Everybody fakes an inch or two one way. Everybody's just a pound or two away. I hear you calling, scratching at the break of day. I thought I knew something, then it went away. It went away. Everybody got a theory and a book. Everybody in the government's a crook. Everybody got lied to and got teased. Everybody got knocked down to their knees. I hear you calling, scratching at the break of day. I thought I knew something, then it went away. It went away. Everybody wants to wake up, got an ache for higher ground. Even those morally bankrupt, who are the evil that's around. Everybody got a moment when they're bad, on the operation table when they start to lose their. Nobody knows where they came from, but everybody knows where they're finally going. I hear you calling, scratching at the break of day. I thought I knew something, but it went away, it went away, it went away.
Woo!
Still there?
That was
Okay.
awesome.
That was the phone up to
That was
phone up to
awesome.
the speaker. So hopefully the audio quality was somewhat intelligible.
That sounded wonderful, Gabriel. Thank you so, so much. And thank you for
Oh,
joining
thank you so
us.
much, Lynn. It's really been a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time, and hopefully we'll get to meet in person at some point.
I look forward to that, definitely. Gabriel Judet-Weinshel, everyone, Unpinnable Butterflies.